No one will ever replace my husband. No. But I do see some similarities of my husband in JD.
Look, I have no regrets, because once you hear this part of the story, you're going to understand why a lot of people are looking at Turning Point USA like, y'all sure this is a ministry and not a Netflix drama pitch? According to Candace Owens, before he was assassinated, Charlie Kirk privately told her he was planning to get secret DNA tests done on his own kids, just to be sure, and allegedly, when those results came back, they were not what he expected. Now, none of that is in the official case file. This is coming from what Candace and online commentators say happened behind the scenes. But if that's even halfway true, it completely changes how people are looking at his marriage, his inner circle, and why there's suddenly so much legal energy being used to shut her up. So today we're breaking down more wild beats in this story, from the so-called secret DNA tests to the PR war exploding online, all in one chaotic timeline. And just to be crystal clear, this video is commentary and opinion based on publicly available clips, claims, and social media chatter. Nothing here is presented as proven fact. We're not accusing anyone of crimes, and everyone is innocent until proven guilty. We're talking about what's being said, not what we know for sure happened. Ready? Let's go. The secret DNA plan. According to Candace, before Charlie was killed, he allegedly confided in her that he was going to secretly get DNA tests done on his own kids, just to be sure. He didn't go to a board, he didn't go to a pastor. He allegedly went to Candace, someone outside the marriage, which already tells you how uncomfortable he might have felt. If that conversation happened the way she describes it, that's not a casual, I'm just curious move. That's something is off and I can't shake it energy. And if you're a husband, a father, and the public face of a big Christian brand, that's not a decision you make lightly. If that's the plan, wait till you hear what people say happened when the results allegedly came back, because that's where the story stops sounding like insecurity and starts sounding like betrayal. The results, nobody was ready for the way Candace tells it. The DNA results don't come back like some boring, yep, everything's fine, carry on lab report. They land like a bomb he never got to detonate. Imagine being Charlie in that moment, opening something that was supposed to give him peace of mind, and instead, according to her, getting confirmation that his gut had been screaming at him for a reason. This isn't just a numbers on a page situation. This is a man who built his entire image on family, faith, and traditional values, allegedly staring at paperwork that doesn't match the life he thought he was living. That's not just emotional devastation, that's brand annihilation. And here's the cruel part in the way the story is framed. He supposedly has this information, he's processing it, he's weighing what it means for his marriage, his kids, his public image, his organization, and then he's killed before any of those conversations ever happen. No confrontation, no camera-ready redemption arc, just a cliffhanger only two people were allegedly aware of, him and Candace, and one of them is now gone. And that's exactly why this part of the story has such a chokehold on people online. The alleged results don't just sit there as a private heartbreak, they become the ghost that haunts everything that happened afterward. Every time Erica praises someone he supposedly didn't fully trust, every time the organization moves a little too quickly, every time someone rushes to defend the official story, people hear that shadow sentence in the background. He saw something in black and white that we haven't seen yet. Whether the details are exactly as Candace describes or not, the narrative power of that moment is huge. A husband allegedly armed with proof, trapped in a life where confronting it means blowing up not just his home, but an entire movement built on the image of that home. And because he never got to say I know, the question doesn't just hang over Erica, it hangs over everyone who tried to shut Candace up after the fact. The mystery isn't just what the results said, it's why, if they're irrelevant or overblown, so many people in his world seem absolutely terrified of anyone even mentioning that he took the test in the first place. But if the secret died with him, why is there suddenly so much legal effort pointed at Candace? That's where things go from heartbreaking to strategic. The letter, the gag order, and the be quiet problem. Candace says Erica didn't just disagree with her, she allegedly wrote directly to the judge pushing for a gag order that would keep Candace from talking publicly about the case at all. In other words, don't just mute the noise, legally cut the mic. Candace had said from the beginning, if Erica personally asked her to be quiet, she'd stop out of respect. According to her, Erica never did that. Instead, what shows up? Legal paperwork. No heart-to-heart, just talk through the lawyers. And if you've ever seen a scandal before, you know that's when the internet collectively sits up like, oh, so now we're bringing judges into this. Interesting. But the real explosion didn't come from the legal filings. It came from one line, one sentence, that made people stop scrolling and go, wait, everyone? Charlie was betrayed by everyone. When Candace dropped the line, Charlie was betrayed by everyone. It wasn't just a sentence, it was a siren. Up until that moment, people could still pretend this was all just messy grief, a widow, a friend, a movement fumbling their way through trauma. But that word, everyone, changed the temperature. It didn't sound like someone speculating from the outside. It sounded like someone who had seen things, read things, heard things straight from Charlie himself, and finally snapped. In that one phrase, she took the story out of the tragic accident category and shoved it into the there were knives in his back long before the gun ever went off territory. And the silence that followed wasn't calm, it was loaded. Viewers weren't hearing a generic people let him down. They were replaying every clip, every hug, every tribute speech, and mentally inserting that word over it. Everyone, staff, friends, leadership, maybe even the person standing center stage wearing the widow halo. That's why the internet took that line and ran with it like it was a code to be cracked. Comment sections turned into mini courtrooms. If everyone includes the inner circle, does it also include his spiritual mentors, his political allies, his own wife? People weren't just listening to Candace anymore. They were reverse engineering her restraint. Who is she not saying out loud? What is she not reading yet? That viral comment about if the truth burns it all down, then let it burn captured the mood perfectly. Folks were done with soft language. They wanted names, screenshots, timestamps, the receipts she kept hinting at. From that point on, every time Erica smiled on camera, every time the organization released a polished statement, a chunk of the audience wasn't seeing comfort or stability anymore. They were seeing a stage full of people trying not to blink too hard while that line echoed in the background. Charlie was betrayed by everyone, and in their minds, the real plot twist wasn't just who betrayed him. It was how many of them are still talking about honoring his legacy while hoping nobody ever sees what he might have discovered before he died. And if that was the emotional spark, what Erica started doing on stage after his death was the gasoline. The post-tragedy love bombs. In the weeks after Charlie's death, people expected awkward tributes, tearful speeches, maybe some clumsy attempts at moving forward. What they did not expect was what the internet started calling Erica's post-tragedy love bombs. On stage in front of cameras, she wasn't just thanking people for their support. She was singling out specific men with this intense, glowing praise that hit very differently once rumors of Charlie's secret DNA test started circulating. The first moment that really made people sit up was how she talked about Mikey McCoy, Charlie's chief of staff. Not just Mikey helped so much, not Mikey was there for us, but the amazing Mikey McCoy delivered with this warmth and emphasis that felt extra. Under normal circumstances, nobody would blink, but this is the same Mikey people had already seen in footage walking away from the scene, phone to his ear while everyone else was scrambling. So now you've got this weird split screen in viewers' minds. On one side, a guy whose timeline and behavior are being questioned. On the other, a widow spotlighting him like a hero. It didn't prove anything, but it definitely set off that, okay, that's interesting alarm for a lot of people watching. Then came the JD Vance moment, the one that went from kind of weird to what are we even watching right now? In a setting that was supposed to be about honoring Charlie's life and death, Erica and the vice president are on stage, wrapped up in a hug that looks way too comfortable for an event framed as sacred remembrance. Right before that, she says no one will ever replace her husband, but she sees similarities between Charlie and JD. Anyway, on paper, you could spin that as a clumsy attempt at a compliment, but paired with the hug, the timing, and the larger context, DNA rumors, betrayal talk, leadership shifts, the optics land like a soft launch of a new political pairing instead of a grieving wife clinging to memory. Online, people weren't just mad, they were unnerved, because if she could move like that so soon after his death, what did that say about how she had been moving before? The love bombs didn't read as random to a lot of viewers. They felt like little glimpses of where her emotional loyalty really sat. And whether that's fair or not, once the audience starts seeing chemistry instead of grief, they don't go back. Every compliment sounds loaded, every hug looks like a hint, and every time she steps on a stage with another powerful man, people can't help but wonder if this is a tribute to Charlie or auditions for the next chapter. And if you thought the stage moments were strange, wait until you you hear what she allegedly said about the case itself, because that's where Candace's eyebrows basically flew off her face. "I've seen the case. It's solid. Show the evil." In a TV interview, Erica is asked how she feels about the defense wanting to keep cameras out of the courtroom. She pushes back, saying there were cameras all over her husband when he was killed, cameras all over her grief, so there should be cameras in the trial too. So far, that's a transparency argument a lot of people agree with, but then she says something like, "There's nothing to hide. I've seen what the case is built on. Let everyone see what true evil is." That's the part that tripped alarms for Candace and a lot of viewers. How can you be that confident, that publicly, when so many details still look confusing or incomplete to the general public? Candace's whole point is, if you truly believe in truth, you don't treat questions like disrespect. You treat them like due diligence. And speaking of incomplete, let's talk about what isn't out there yet, because that silence is its own character in the story. The missing pieces and the fog of war. From the start, people notice gaps. The autopsy details still not fully out in the open. Early viral posts about engraved bullets with long messages. Later reporting and experts said there wasn't even enough surface area for that much text. And then, poof, that whole storyline pretty much vanished from official conversation. None of this automatically proves some grand conspiracy. Sometimes chaos is just chaos. But when you combine missing documents, evolving narratives, and a widow confidently saying, "I've seen it all," it's airtight. You get this weird tension, the official story telling people to relax, and their instincts screaming, something's off. And if you've ever watched a scandal before, you know what happens next. People stop trusting the press release and start scrutinizing the people. The inner circle starts looking inner once Candace started hinting that the betrayal wasn't just emotional, but possibly connected to the broader inner circle. Folks went back through old clips, staff photos, and speeches like it was open source intel. Who stood where? Who got promoted how fast? Who looked a little too comfortable when the cameras were rolling? Again, we're talking perception, not proof. But the vibe online has been, why do so many of the people who benefited from Charlie's platform seem the most eager to shut down questions about what was really happening behind the scenes? For a lot of viewers, that's where the secret DNA test claim stops sounding like random drama and starts feeling like a reaction to a bigger, uglier pattern he thought he saw closing in. And that is exactly when the story shifts from what happened to Charlie to why are they coming after Candace so hard? The PR war against the whistleblower. As soon as Candace started talking about inconsistencies and alleged betrayal, it wasn't just legal letters. A wave of online commentary appeared painting her as unhinged, unstable, or emotionally compromised, with some even speculating about her mental health and postpartum struggles. That's a classic crisis management move. Don't just challenge the argument, discredit the messenger, turn "she's bringing up receipts" into "she's not well." And look, you can believe Candace is wrong, or reckless, or too emotional. That's fair game. But when the same network that allegedly knew about Charlie's suspicions before he died suddenly acts like the real emergency is someone asking questions, yeah, that's gonna make people suspicious. Which brings us to the question at the center of this whole video, the one everyone keeps circling around but nobody can answer yet. The DNA question no one can unask. At the end of the day, this entire storm comes down to one unresolved point. If the secret DNA tests really happen, if the results were really not what he expected, then what exactly was on that paper that made it worth all this silence, all this spin, and all this fire aimed at anyone who dares to bring it up? Maybe the answer is smaller than the internet thinks. Maybe it's messier. Maybe it's something we'll never know. But the reason this story won't die is because people don't just feel grief. They feel a pattern, fast leadership transitions, tight messaging, emotional branding, and a widow who seems more comfortable defending the official story than acknowledging the holes that everyone else can see. So the real question might not be, what did the DNA say? It might be, why are so many powerful people acting like we're not allowed to even wonder? Look, you don't have to agree with Candace. You don't have to like her. You don't even have to believe the DNA story. But if you care about truth, you should at least care about who gets punished for asking questions and who gets protected from having to answer them. So tell me in the comments, do you think there's a real bombshell behind this alleged DNA test? Or is this just another case of the internet turning incomplete information into a full-blown thriller? thriller? Drop your take below. I read them, even the spicy ones. If you want me to keep digging into the parts of this story that nobody else wants to touch, from the courtroom battles to the inner circle power games, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next episode. Because in the world where politics meets celebrity gossip, the truth doesn't always show up in the evidence. Sometimes it shows up in who's trying the hardest to keep you from asking.